Welcome back, everybody. We're very glad that you're with us because, as always, love is not judgmental. My name is Marvin Kain, and I am your humble host, your guide on this journey as we talk about all things relationship. Now, we never claim to have all the answers because I have my opinion and you have your opinion, and no one's superior. But it's just for the thought of thought, just the thoughts that we can develop together when we work together in a very peaceful and constructive way. So, ladies and gentlemen, on this YouTube live that we're having today, it's going to be exciting. And it's a very common discussion that's being had everywhere. Should women obey men? That's the question. That's the subject we want to talk about in a very non offensive way. But just to expand it, women in relationships, do they obey? Do they submit? Or is it something else? Now, before we get started into this captivating discussion, we want to just encourage you to hit the subscribe button if you have not. Join us. And also, don't forget to like and share this information with a friend, a family member, an enemy, anyone. Just share it. We really do appreciate it. So, do younger women want to be nurses? Is that why they date older men? We'll talk about that tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. right here, live in the studio where love is not judgmental. So let's start this discussion off about should women obey. Let's define obey. And then we want to go ahead and define submission. Because there was a video, or there is a video going around as we speak, where it shows the contrast between an American woman giving her marital vows and a African woman. And those are two completely different communities. But the point that we will make is that when it comes to the subject of marriage, none of us created this idea. This comes from a biblical arrangement. It's a Christian thing. It's a very Christian view, marriage. So it has rules to it that you nor I have the power to change. But in understanding each person's role, which is a critical feature to relationships, let's define obey. So, first things first, obey, submit. Well, when we talk about obeying, oftentimes it's associated with someone giving orders or giving commands, kind of like you might experience when you work a job, you have a boss. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to submit, being submissive, this involves a willingness to yield, to defer to another person, all out of respect. It's essential that we distinguish between the two because they are not the same. I mean, even as you just heard, they're not the same. So often people put them side by side, saying that to obey is to submit is to obey. But let's think about a boss. If we think about the relationship of a job, imagine your relationship as a partnership, not like a working relationship with a boss. See, a boss is a boss. A boss has all the power. So you will obey your boss in a sense. But in a romantic structure, it's about love. It's about love. So here's the catch. In a romantic partnership, both individuals are basically equal. So one is not superior than the other. They both have a role to play. And when each person does their role, each person is doing what they are supposed to do in the relationship, they become equal. When one person is not, let's say the husband is not taking the lead, then he's no longer equal to his wife because he's out of order in that marital arrangement. Let's say the wife is not doing what she's supposed to do as a wife, then she's no longer equal to her husband. See, when each party does what they're supposed to do, then they're equal. So it's about compromise in marriage relationships. It's about forgiveness in relationships. It's about a collaboration. Unlike in the boss employee dynamic, one person has all the power. See, in a relationship, in a marriage, the reason we're not talking about obeying, a woman having to obey, like she has to accept the commands of her husband. She is like biblically under the law of her husband, but she also always has a choice. See, the idea of obey means you don't have a choice. See, if you disobey, then you are removed from the situation, you're removed from the community. So if a wife disobeys her husband, there may be reasons for it because, you know what, she has a creator that she obeys first. She didn't just appear on this planet. She was actually made. There was a process that actually allowed her to exist. And so she gives honor to her creator. She obeys the creator. So when the creator says, this is right, this is wrong, then that's what she does. But in the family relationship, it's more of a submission. So let's kind of put it another way, obeying in relationships. So when we talk about obeying in relationships, it's more about respecting the partnership. It's more about respecting your partner's opinions and decisions. So let's say your husband says, listen, I want dinner. He's working, but he wants dinner at 5 p.m. served every day. And you get it out at 5:30. Did you obey your husband? Well, let's see. He said 5 o'clock. You didn't have it at 5 o'clock. It was ready 30 minutes later. No, you did not obey because you agreed that you were going to respect his opinion and his decisions. So, in that sense, in a romantic sense, you didn't obey your husband. And we know there can be some broader things, but we're just trying to give you the general idea. Now, let's say he says he wants his dinner at 5 o'clock and you make it at 5 o'clock. Did you? Why? Did you do it? Why? Look at the other side. Did you do it? Why? Yes. Why did you do it? Because you respected his decision. So when we say obey in relationships, it's not the same as obeying your boss. See, you don't have to like your boss, but you really need to like and love your husband. But you have to respect your boss. But you also need to have deep respect for your husband, which allows you to have the willingness to want to do what he requires of you, or what he's asking of you. But it goes both ways. See, sometimes husbands need to obey their wives. I mean, there's an awesome account biblically where Abraham was told to listen to the voice of your wife. Why would that even be said? Because we're just people. We're not gods. We're not angels. We don't have like awe-inspiring powers. What we do have are choices. So, for the betterment, for the peace of the family, there's only one person who can be in charge and take the lead. We call him husband. So, if you're getting married, then you've got to play by the rules of marriage. See, marriage isn't something that's just invented in modern times. Marriage is something that started thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. It's a God arranged program. And he actually placed the husband in charge. We call him the head of that relationship. If you don't like having a man in charge, then you're not obeying God because it's his arrangement, not mine's, not Marvin Kane's, not this channel's. So we're just trying to understand the balance. Now, there are some men who are tyrannical. I want my food at 4 o'clock. And if it's not ready at 4 o'clock, they lose their mind. See, that's not loving. See, all throughout the marriage, all throughout obey, it should be beneficial. See, if you're going to listen to your husband, if you're going to obey your husband under the respect of his decisions, then there has to be love in it. There has to be a benefit for you. So if there's no benefit for you, then you picked the wrong person. I mean, I'm not saying advocating divorce because we don't do that on this channel. We figure you can work things out. So let's work things out. So rather than showing like consideration, understand that obedience is not blind. It's about making the choice to accept the man's role in the relationship as he makes the choice to accept the woman's role. So we started mentioning, does the man have to obey the woman? Well, in some cases, yes. Let's say, and I'm just going back to traditional thinking, right? Let's say she's making the meal. She's making a delicious meal. She has her way of preparing that meal. That's law. That's a law. She's going to do it her way. So it's kind of semantics, right? It's a play on words. But when it comes to submission in a relationship, see, on the other hand, this is different. This is directly quoted in the scriptures that a woman should be in submission to her husband, right? It's about willingly yielding. Now, we're talking about making relationships successful. So if you can be in an unsuccessful relationship and not be submissive and not obey your husband's decisions, you can be in a relationship like that. But the whole structure of a romantic relationship, of a marriage, is that you make it happy and beneficial for both people. So if both people are in charge, who's to listen to who? See, it's not equal in that sense. The man gets final say in a marital arrangement. That's just how it was set up. But getting final say does not mean that he has to use it, because the wife is quite capable. I'm sure this man married a woman that's got a brain, and she's quite capable of making really good and beneficial decisions for herself and for him and the family. So he has to yield out of respect, out of love for her. It's all about respect and love. It's not totalitarian. So sometimes women, when they hear, oh, I'm not going to obey, see, they become totalitarians. You're not going to obey your husband. You're not going to submit to your husband. You're saying then that you want to do whatever you want. So you're not advising yourself on how to have a peaceful relationship that's beneficial for both of you. Because no matter how you describe it, men always want to take the lead. Why? Because we were made this way. Women naturally want to be in submission and subjection. Why? Because they don't want to build the house. They want the man to build the house, get the logs and go out in the cold and grab the firewood. They want him to do those type of things while they make the house comfortable. And all those things are necessary. It's just that women are better at certain things than men, and men are better at certain things than women. But together, we are better at certain things together. And that's the respect that needs to be held in a relationship. So it's about trust when it comes to having a submissive attitude in a relationship. You've got to trust your partner. And it allows you to be very vulnerable, knowing that your partner has your best interests at heart. So you got to be wise about who you pick to marry. So some people just rush into a marriage frivolously, very quickly, not giving it any real thought. And then they come upon all these problems. Then they realize, I can't respect this man because he doesn't respect himself. So you may challenge his decisions. And now you become unloving because of the situation you're in. So he can't listen to you. You can't listen to him. Y'all not listening to each other. And then that's why we've got courts and a divorce structure, because people lost trust and accountability to one another. But we're not talking about being submissive to the point that you give up your identity. Only a foolish man would marry a woman and want her to become something that she never was before she married him. So it's like being a father, having daughters. You know, you raise your children and you do the best that you can. And then the daughter meets a man. He picks up where you left off with her. He's now her protector. He's now her guide, her partner through life. Because there's only so much a father can do, but there's so much more that a husband can do that a father can't reach out to do with his daughter and for her. So that balance is not an identity crisis. It's about love and respect. So uncommon success when it comes to age gap relationships. Age gap relationships are fascinating. And it's a lot easier for a woman to be in subjection to a man in an age gap relationship, because we're taught from young ages. At least I know I was living in the United States of America. That you listen to people older because they've experienced something you haven't. They know a little more than you don't, perhaps, which is not always true, but this is just how we were raised, right? Sometimes a lot of younger people know some things and know a lot of things and know more things than some older people because of the life journey that they've been on. But while age gap relationships are fascinating, let's break the stereotype, right? That the woman is going to be his slave. No way. The man, don't marry men that think like that because that's a crude way. Women need to be open and expressive. Men, we grow. We grow when we listen to the voice of our wives. We grow when we pay attention to her dynamic and we submit. We willingly yield to her ideas. We grow. So only a foolish man would be haughty enough to believe that his way is the only way. See, that's no longer partnership. That's no longer equal. See, there's an equal responsibility to make the marriage work, to make the family, if you have children, successful. And if you don't have children and it's just a husband and a wife, that is still a family. You need two people to be a family. Otherwise, you're just single. Communication is the power in relationship. Communication is like Wi-Fi. And we say that because it's invisible and it's essential for a good connection. So you've got to be open. You've got to be honest. You've got to be willing to be vulnerable and have very deep and beneficial discussions. So when it comes to relationships, there's a lot of fresh ideas out there. There's a lot of modern thinking that people have when it comes to matters of empowerment and mutual growth. See, a lot of words are being thrown around in society today where women want to be empowered. But you still have to show respect. If you are going to play the marriage game, then you've got to be in your marital role. You can't make marriage what you want it to be. Otherwise, it's not marriage. It's just not marriage. Marriage is between a man and a woman. The man is the head, the woman is in subjection. She's his helper. Now, that's the clear view. Now, when you get really deep into the other side of what that means, the man is also her helper. See, everything that the man is in the relationship, thus the woman is also. Because let's say the man is sick, he's down, he's unconscious. Who's the head man? She is, because she's qualified, she's capable. And because of mutual respect, she has a partnership with this man to keep the family going forward in a very positive direction. So if he's down and out, she picks up the pieces because she's his partner. He's not her boss. A husband is not the boss of a wife. He's not. Some people get caught up in those terms about slavery. She's not his slave. She's his partner. She's his wife. She's his flower, his sunshine, his moon, his gold, his silver, his world, his heaven, his earth. She's his everything. And he needs to treat her with the same dignity that he treats himself. He feeds himself, right? So he feeds her. He protects himself, right? So he protects her. And all those times that he does those things, when he protects her, he's submitting to her. He's yielding to her need. So it goes both ways. He just gets the final say because somebody has to be responsible for that family and the decisions that family makes. That falls on the weight and the backs of the men. So if you got a family of a bunch of bank robbers, guess who's ultimately responsible for that bad behavior? Not ultimately the wife, even though she may be a participant, but it's the one in charge, the one that gets final say, the husband. So women, you want that role? You want final say? You want to take all that responsibility? Because some women come in relationship, they want to be the head. You're not equal heads to your husband. He's not equal in submission. There are things women can do in relationships that men can't do. Men, we can't give birth. We can't. I don't care how crazy society can be about those thoughts, but men cannot have babies. It's not our role. It's not even physically possible. It's not realistic in any of the senses. Now, doctors have taken things and they've made claims and they put stuff unnaturally. changing the identity of a man into something else and it so it can give birth. But that's not from the role that a man comes from. See, we're born men and we're born women. There's no confusion there. That's why marriage needs to be understood for what it is, not what society may want it to be. So when you look at traditions work well. Look at where people are today. A lot of people like to be rebellious to the roles of the man in a relationship and rebellious to the role of the woman in a relationship. They go, "Oh, it's 2023, we do things differently." But look at the divorce rates. Because you do things so differently, the divorce rates are high. Look at the violence in marriages and relationships because people do things differently. That is not showing the respect, not showing the love that's necessary, not obeying, not being in submission, not being partners, not seeing the full picture, not seeing the whole story. See, a lot of times people come up with these ideas. Some people, not all people. I don't ever mean all. I don't ever mean everybody. I'm always talking about the some. But some people come up with these ideas, and it's like watching a movie. And they don't play the movie to the end till they see what happens in the end result. So you hanging out there, some guy hanging out there with this girl at work. See, you got a wife at home. You don't need to be hanging out with a girl at work. See, if you play that movie to the end, next thing you know, you'll be over her house, sleeping over her house. See, you got to play it to the end. You got to use your power, your powers that help you to show love and respect in your relationship to put that thing to the side, put that thing to sleep, put that thing away from you because your obligation, your responsibility is to bring joy and success to your relationship with your wife. And the same thing with the wife. You know, she's got to put some things to the side because you're on a journey that was designed to bring the ultimate amount of happiness. See, the closest relationship that can be held is that between a man and a woman. And of course, it has to do with some of the physical benefits of a relationship, but also that intimacy, that closeness, the depth of each person, the caring, the concern, the one flesh. It has to deal with that. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So, modern stereotypes, I'm going to just tell you, you let that go, you'll prosper. You humble up. Everybody needs to show humility. The man, even though he gets final say, he needs to show humility so he can be more loving. So when it comes to respecting individual choices, listen, each person brings into a relationship their own unique qualities. A true partnership and acknowledging and celebrating of the individuality of the wife, the individuality of the husband, the individuality of what happens when the two of you come together. That is the spirit of fantasticalness. I made up a word. So, open communication, we have to say it again, it is the backbone for a successful relationship, whether it's an age gap relationship or whatever, it is the backbone. Your thoughts, your feelings are all important. Just stay open, stay honest, and let's not ever shy away from a difficult conversation. Those are opportunities for growth. So today we ventured into the complexity, the complex terrain of relationships when it comes to obedience and submission and the extraordinary success of age gap relationships. People just find it easier to be submissive in these type of relationships because of the dynamics that they allow to happen. So don't knock it till you try it. And if you can't try it because you're already married to your equal, be happy. Be happy with where you are in your relationship and in your life. And stay motivated and always do good. That's all the time we have for today. And listen, this has been an exciting conversation. Like I said, these are just my opinions. You may have your own. So we're not here trying to change the way you're thinking. We're just on this road, just guiding you to a different form of awareness. Now, tomorrow, we kind of raised the question. Do younger women who date older men want to be nurses? Is that the goal in life? They just need somebody to care for. As this man is like 31 years or 40 years, 50 years, even I've heard and have seen videos on people that much age difference. Are they looking to be nurses? What is the motivation behind that? Well, let's talk about it. Listen, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and share this video with a friend. And don't hesitate. Send us a comment. Let us know how you felt about the information. Give us your side of it, but make sure you heard everything we said clearly. Make sure you heard everything we said clearly before you give a comment or send me a private message. I get private messages and I can tell people didn't listen to the entire video. So that's all I'm asking. Subscribe to us. We got a lot more to talk about. Listen, this has been great. My name is Marvin Kain. We are here with Love is Not Judgmental. That's our channel. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, we will.